do you believe this injury, losing Marcus Pettersson, especially if it's longer term, will trigger another fall off?
I don't know about fall off. I mean, Penguins been playing okay. It's not like Marcus Pettersson's been playing his best hockey this season. Um, but at the same time, injuries like that to players like that sometimes, and especially in the Penguins case, are usually what galvanizes a team almost. What makes them turn it up a little bit more. I mean, it's what made Malkin an MVP winner, an MVP player. Uh, Back in the day, whenever Crosby would go down. So it made him one of the greatest in the game. Anytime Sid would go down, Malkin would step up. I don't know who on this defense can do something like that.
Yeah.
But at bare minimum, you get a little sense of, well, maybe the group as a whole kind of fills the roles in their own way, steps up in their own way to cover for what's being lost here. So, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if a dip happens at least, but I don't know about a full meltdown almost. I'd say, look for maybe Kris Letang to be the veteran that he is and play a little wiser. I don't see Erik Karlsson playing too much wiser, but maybe he also acts like a veteran and tries to maybe pinch one less time a game. I don't know. And we'll just see what happens with Matt Grzelcyk and Ryan Graves. It's going to be a little frightening, but for what it's worth, I could see at least doing the whole, stepping up as a team bit in this situation.
Yeah, the one problem that I have with believing in that is, one, this is not the same Penguins team as we've seen in the past who's been able to do that. Because, I mean, even you look at Kris Letang going out for the playoffs, who was it that stepped up? Ron Hainsey. Unsuspecting, but still he was able to do so, and kind of the group was utilized as a group and not just stars and then whoever's underneath. But I think this is already a pretty overextended grouping on the defense. Not only were they kind of awful, or are they kind of awful defensively and losing their best defensive defenseman, but Owen Pickering is already kind of overextended. He's played 20 minutes a night the last 2 games, which is the first time in his career. How long can a 20-year-old continue to do that? Not to mention the fact that you'd have to imagine that he has to step up a little bit more on the penalty kill and play a little bit more ice time on that unit as well. Grzelcyk with Karlsson. I mean, Matt Grzelcyk for the longest time was playing in a top 4 role and probably shouldn't have been. And then he gets bumped down for now only 4 games. And he's not only back up in a top 4 situation, but back up with Erik Karlsson. That pairing as a whole scares me. I like your optimism, but at the same time, I don't share it, unfortunately, because I just think that this is a group that is already overextended and it's putting players in positions where I'm not sure they're going to be ready to succeed.
Yeah, I could see that too. It's going to be it's like I said, it's going to be a tough stretch. I don't have the fullest of confidence in it.
Yeah.
The only thing that comes to my mind is this, especially if it's a long-term thing. And I mean, the idea of this affecting his draft capital is a whole different discussion. Does this spur the Penguins to maybe give some of those signees from the offseason a chance? I mean, I know, like, taking preseason performances out of it completely and just going, well, the space is open. It's time to experiment with what this team has if/when Marcus Pettersson does get traded down the line. It's time to see what this team is capable of. Can Sebastian Aho turn it on at the NHL level again? Can Jack St. Ivany has proved it before, but can he prove it again? I mean, I know I'm going back and forth between righties and lefties here, but can Mac Hollowell find what made him, I believe, a high draft pick? Don't quote me on that, but give him the Penguins signed him for a reason. And same with Philip Kral. Like, those 4 names specifically, I'm not saying they're all going to get a chance, but how much can Marcus Pettersson's time away help boost those guys into the lineup, at least getting a look? Again, like I said before, usually experimentation is preserved for early in the season, unless you're the Penguins this year, in which case you're experimenting all year, and this is just another example of you might just have to. Because genuinely, yeah, the Penguins went on a bit of a run there. Did they still, when we discussed it, it still didn't feel like they had playoff aspirations.
True. True. I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to experiment, but here's the one problem with that, and I didn't want to cut you off, but this is as of December 11th, and there hasn't been very many updates outside of that. Right now, the injury list for Wilkes-Barre is extensive, including Jack St. Ivany, Sebastian Aho, Nikolai Nizov, Scooter Bricky, Mac Hollowell, and Philip Krull. So when I say overextended, I should have included that, but like crazy amount of injuries. Then you add on Ravis Ansons, Emil Benstrom, Avery Hayes, and Jimmy Huntington. And this is all via Tony Andrikaitis on Twitter. But yeah, it kind of hurts the ability to do a lot of that experimenting whenever a lot of these players are currently trying to rehab an injury.
And thank you for bringing that up, because genuinely, A, I did not know that, and B, that does throw a wrench into the argument.
Yeah.
Especially since I don't know how long those guys have been injured, and
well,
now
Jackson Ivany's was like last week.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna big brain it a bit and kind of ask: could those injuries have forced Pickering up the ladder a bit?
I certainly is taking away the safety net behind him. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is certain. Yeah, that is for certain. But that's fascinating. That's all. Like I said, good to know. Good to keep in the back pocket and know that. Mm-hmm. Well, the Penguins are in this situation now. This is how it's going to be. I mean, there are still, like I said, there are still other faces that could be utilized. But again, for now, this is what they're going to have to roll with. We'll see how long everyone's out for. That is an extensive injury list. That's
all
now
too. Which,
yeah,
come on now. Like any way we could even that out. I know we'd rather get rid of all of it, but Jesus, all on the blue line, especially, considering a lot of those names were names that you were hoping maybe one day would get an opportunity at the NHL level this season. But
yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, like I said, Sebastian Aho's here for at least another year, so he's got time to get that other chance, that other opportunity. Who knows what happens with Hollowell and Krull, and St. Ivany's got a 3-year deal. So those two at least will have more chances down the line. We'll see what happens with the other two. It's going to be a build by committee type thing without Pettersson in the lineup, and that committee is far smaller than I was expecting going into this recording.
Yeah, shout out again to Tony Andrikaitis of Around the AHL and Inside AHL Hockey, who does all things AHL, but specifically has a good focus on the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. And